Hey guys, Static here, and today on Dungeon Guide we're going to be covering Veteran Hard Mode Direfrost Keep. Here in Direfrost Keep, the first mobs we're going to come across are these bears. They're not really too much of a threat, so I would suggest to pull them all to the bottom of this cavern before the first boss and burn them down together. You'll notice around this first boss that he has an AoE aura around him that damages you. This literally is the only mechanic of this boss, as he'll just light attack your tank and that's it. This aura does minimum damage, so if your healer has hots as strong as Weeko's here, you can just stand in it. But you also can reach this boss from outside of his aura, as his hitbox is very large. This dungeon has a lot of ranged adds and they can take a while to clear because they're not bunched up whatsoever. The way we can get around this is by line of sighting them upstairs and around corners. Just use your environment to force all of these ranged adds to come together so you can burn everything down much more quickly and efficiently. This boss's first attack is a crit rush of sorts where he leaps around at random party members. He'll also choose a party member and place an ice ring underneath their feet. He does this quite often. Your tank needs to watch out for icy breaths and heavy attacks. This boss's mechanics really don't hurt all that much. It's more or less just an intimidation factor of putting a red AoE on you or just gap closing to you and scaring the bejesus out of you. That's it. You'll eventually come to this gate where all these mobs are standing. Once you burn all of them down, in order to open up this gate, you'll have to have one person stand on one of these pressure plates and one stand on the other. As you go through the gate and drop down, you're going to want to watch out for these ankle biters around this boss. When they get close to you, they explode and they do quite a bit of damage. The boss's first attack is just this spin attack, which we've seen plenty of times before. Just stand outside of that as his hitbox is big enough to hit him. He'll then do heavy attacks to your tank. These are actually quite deadly, so make sure that you block them. Throughout the fight, he will keep summoning these little minions, and as he does, when they get close to a player, like I said, they are going to explode. As long as your tank is paying attention and getting a taunt off on these adds as they appear, they'll just go to him. He can take the explosion. If he doesn't catch them though, and they go to a DPS or your healer, it could be a one-shot on some squishier members. If you're on the quest, don't forget after defeating this boss to come up to this torch. Doesn't really look like a torch, but yes, you pick up a torch from this fire, and it's needed to summon the next quote-unquote boss fight. When you get back to the main hall where you fought the second boss, whoever has the torch has to go to the center here and light the fire. When you do this, the skeletons in these chairs come alive. This isn't a boss fight per se, as there is no named drop for these, but they do certainly have their own special mechanics. The mage's main attack is interruptible. If they get this attack off, it will summon void magic from above down to the party. As long as you keep this bashed, this will never happen. The sword and board has a charge attack that if you block in his path, he will be stunned. The two-handed mini-boss is the dud of the group, as all he does is light and heavy attacks. Remember, you only fight these mini-bosses if someone is on the quest, otherwise you just progress to the next boss fight. Whether someone had the quest or not, when you get to the top of these stairs, you want to take a right to fight the next boss. It's not needed for a pledge, but if you're going for a no-death or a speed run, you need to fight this boss. This fight starts off with a lot of adds around the boss, so make sure your tank gets a taunt off on him and soaks up the damage while you're burning them down. Once you get him alone, watch out, he's going to have a big AoE ice attack. He actually has quite a few attacks to choose from, the next one being this void attack that we saw in the mage down below. His next attack will be seen on the last boss as well. He'll pick somebody up at random, it just so happens to be the tank here, and you have to break free of it or it heals him. Throughout the fight, he's been attempting to do this charged attack, which is interruptible, which is a conal root. We'll let that hit here so you can see it. But realistically, as long as you're watching for it, you should be able to keep that one interrupted. This boss really only has two mechanics to worry about. Most of the time he just stands there and light attacks your tank. He will have an AoE, however. Try and get out of that, but if it hits you, it just staggers you. It doesn't do a ton of damage. He will put his hand in the ground. You want to stay mobile while he's doing this, as he shoots ice pillars up from the ground. The cool thing here is when the pillars thaw, they become skeletons. They don't do a lot of damage and they die really quickly, but it's still a cool mechanic to see. After you climb the ladder to the last boss area, make sure you activate hard mode by reading the scroll to the left here. It's worth mentioning that this boss ignores aggro, so make sure your tank brings along a DPS setup. A lot of groups struggle with DPS on this fight, so having your tank swap to do damage helps out a lot. Most deaths occur in this fight because of this teleport. Anytime she teleports, she's going to do her giant AoE afterwards, and it's a one-shot. You'll see her briefly pick Wiko up here. She breaks that as quickly as she can because this heals the boss rapidly. It only takes one member not breaking free here to really negate all the damage you've done, so make sure you save some stamina for breaking free. She summons 2 ice wraiths. They do have low HP and die quickly, but they do bury under the ground and come up underneath a player and will knock you back, so watch out for that. At exactly 2 minutes into the fight, she'll go to the center. It's quite possible to burn her fast enough that you never see this phase of her. We slowed down enough to just show you this. The only thing this signifies when she goes to the center is instead of summoning wraiths, now she summons these ice atronachs. Similar to the wraiths, they don't have a lot of HP and they should melt relatively quickly. The hardest aspect of this fight is really maintaining your stamina, not only to sprint or dodge roll out of her AoE, which it is a one-shot, but also to break free of the healing CC when she picks you up. This can be particularly difficult for Magicka users, so change up what food you run, put stamina pots on your bar, do something to maintain your stamina more efficiently. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Please smash that like and subscribe button below for future content releases. I really appreciate the support everybody's been showing me, so I want to just say thank you to each and every one of you. It really means a lot to me. See you guys later and catch you next time.